Oh, they have great beaches up there.
Yeah,
Love
nice,
it.
nice.
Okay.
Maybe I can show you.
It's 12:30, so we will get started. And oh, let me admit, Christopher, welcome to the Westwood Village Rotary Club. Today is August 20th, 2020. I'm Nancy McCready. And let me pull up the agenda for today. Here is our agenda for today. Steve Sure, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oh, I'd be pleased to.
Thank you.
Between now and the first week of November, it's a very special time in the history of our country. Some people call it the silly season, and it may be a little silly, but I think that's part of what it means to live in a democracy. And there'll be a lot of jousting on ideas and principles and people, and so I think it's kind of neat that we live in a country like this, where we have a silly season, a season to ferret out the good ideas from the bad ideas, and the good people from the not so good people. So the important thing is that we all vote. And I know as Westwood Village Rotarians, we will all vote. So will you please join me in pledging allegiance to our flag? Put your right hand over your heart and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all. Thank you, Steve, and thank you for your thoughts. I like the concept of a silly season. It does seem more than a little silly, but as you said, it won't be here forever. And now I would like to make the slide move forward. I'd now like to bring on Marcia. Marcia, why don't you try sharing the screen? I set it up for multiple people, but if it doesn't work, I will make you the host.
Attendee screen sharing. You know, if it's too much trouble, I can do it without the screen share. I just wanted to.
Well, no, it's no trouble at all. Are you not able to make it share?
No, it won't share for me. It
okay,
says,
then I'll make you the host.
Okay.
And then when you're done, you can make me the host.
Okay.
Back. I'm just pulling you up. Let's see. Here you are. Okay, you're the host now.
I'm sharing your screen.
Oh, I have to say yes. Okay. I will. I guess I better stop sharing.
I see Michael's here. Hello, Michael.
Hi.
Okay. And now, hold on. I just have to. Didn't have time beforehand to get it up there. Sorry, I'm messing around with this. Yeah. And are any of you seeing this at all on there?
No.
Oh, we see you.
You see me, okay. I didn't have time to, usually it takes me, well, you know what, I'm just going to do this without it. I had some pictures of a little girl up here, and I was going to have you guess who it was of her at different ages until she got up to, a certain age that I knew you'd recognize her for. And I'll give you some hints of who she was. When she was 18 years old, she moved to Ireland, and she was born in 1910, if that's a clue. She won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. She won, President Reagan gave her awarded her the Medal of Freedom when he was president. And I know you all know this woman. And she's mostly known for her work in India.
Mother
And
Teresa.
What?
Mother Teresa.
Yes. And since our
Good
next
for
one,
you.
not this one, but the next
That's so
one,
interesting.
Calcutta.
She's not.
Could you make me the host again, Marcia?
Oh, yes. Let
Thank
me
you.
get out of this.
Sorry to
She's
interrupt.
not.
John, I think you were saying something. Sorry.
She's not Mother Teresa anymore. She's Saint Teresa of Calcutta.
But they,
Oh, that's right.
but they, even the Pope said she will probably always be referred to as Mother Teresa. And anyway, so let me, let me admit someone here. And, okay, make you the host. I'm going back to screen share. Up.
What you can do is put the cursor over my name
Uh-huh.
and then right click and it will say, make me the host.
Okay. Nancy.
Or you'll see a blue box that says more, mute, and then more.
Mhm.
If you click on more,
That's what I'm looking
that's
for.
another way to do it.
Make host. Okay. Change host. Okay, now you're back to being the host.
Here's
Should be.
Phil. Thank you.
So Mother Teresa, but what I actually wanted to do was, when talking about Mother Teresa, so I had all these little pictures, and after you figured out, I have a few quotes from her I just wanted to share. And one is, spread love everywhere you go. Let no one ever come to you without leaving happier. Another one of her sayings, kind words can be short and easy to speak, but the echoes are truly endless.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, and if you can't feed 100 people, then feed just one. And then this is another one. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow has not yet come. We only have today. So that is my message from Mother Teresa, or Saint Teresa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcia. That was
Very
lovely.
nice.
And really inspiring.
Thank you.
So baseball season has finally returned, and Ed Gold will celebrate by leading us in singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Is everyone in fine tune today?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I'm going to try to be deliberate because sometimes Zoom singing gets a little off track. But anyway, let's go. Take me out
Out
to
to
the
the
ball
ball
game.
Take me out to the crowd.
Buy me
Buy
something
me
that's
something
crack.
that's cracker jack.
I don't care if I ever get back so rich for the home. No, when it's a shame,
They don't win it.
strike you out at the
One
old.
Strikes you out at the old
game.
Hope springs eternal. And
Well,
thanks everyone who sang.
anyway, we ended within 3 minutes of each other. That's a good sign.
next time, Admiral. Bring your baton, would you please?
That sounds like improvement. Do we have any visiting Rotarians? I'm not seeing everybody, but I can't see everybody on my screen. So, okay. And any guest in addition to our guest speaker and our Merchant Minute speaker?
Nancy,
Yes.
my wife is visiting us today, so
Oh,
she'll be.
wonderful.
So.
Oh, thank you for, where are you, Lisa? Oh,
This is
I see.
Elle.
Green L. Hi, Lisa.
Welcome. We're happy to have you with us.
It should be noted that Lisa is not just Phil's wife. She's the head of the Westwood Neighborhood Council. And
Wow.
takes a lot of time in on behalf of that.
That's very impressive. Well, welcome. We're thrilled to have you join us.
Thank you, everyone. And Nancy, I just wanted to see you in action.
Oh, well, I'm honored. And belated happy birthday to Phil. From the Facebook photos, it looked really special.
I had the most amazing dinner and lunch today.
Oh, nice. What a great family you have. I'm very, very happy for you. Okay. We have a couple of announcements. The first announcement will be by Steve Day, who's going to talk to us about the 2020 District Foundation celebration and the opportunity drawing. And Steve, I have about 3 slides.
Okay, thank you, Nancy, for putting those slides up.
My pleasure.
Well, as we all know, with COVID, this year's foundation celebration will be virtual. And it's going to be on the evening of Saturday, November 7th from 5 to 6:30. And you all probably received an email yesterday with the details about the evening. Included were information about the auction, about RSVP, and I hope we all are able to attend on that Saturday, the 7th. But there's a page to actually register, a webinar registration page. So please go on and do that before the event. Again, they're going to have a silent auction, and I'm not sure about all the timing on that, but they are looking for each club to in essence, commit to $300 worth of silent auction items. Probably it'll be available before the event so we can all log on and see what we might be interested in acquiring. But again, if you're interested in donating something, please make a point of going online through that email from yesterday and let the district know what you're going to be donating. As far as the opportunity tickets, in the past, they would, at the first district conference or district breakfast, they would hand out the tickets and they would always get back to me. Either I'd pick them up directly or I would get them from somebody who attended the event that morning. This year it's different, as for obvious reasons. And so what they've done, and I really think it's a good evolution, is in that email yesterday, there's a spot on it where you go online and request, there's a PDF where you fill out the raffle tickets. One member, Ron Leister, he's always one of the first to purchase his tickets. Ron went ahead and not only did he fill out the tickets online because it has that capability using the PDF, you can fill in your name and add your club and your phone number. He also used his credit card. If that's an opportunity as well, pardon me, use the word opportunity again, where you can use your card. And so that's what Ron did. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I encourage others to do. And what is then requested is that you either mail that page to me, print the PDF with your name and everything on it, and mail it to me along with your receipt that that Rotary Foundation will allow you to print. And scan it to me using my email address, and that'd be a great way of doing it. For those who don't want to go that process, you can go ahead and write me a check. I shouldn't say me. I don't get the checks. They're not made out to Steve, but you do send them to me. And go ahead and do the PDF, fill it all out with your name. You can print it and you just write it if you want, or you can use the typing function on the PDF to fill it out. But you can then mail it to me. We'll post my home address again in the windmill for today and probably for a few weeks out into the future. And you can just mail them to me, a check made out to the Rotary Foundation for $100 for the 12 tickets, and just mail that to me along with your check. The reason why they're asking, and this is a request from the district, but it makes a lot of sense, is they want their foundation chair or the president, but this is one of my duties for Nancy this year is taking care of the raffle tickets, is to use a multiple donor form where I gather all of the club members. I use your name and your Rotary ID number, and indicate the amount you're buying. So again, the windmill will detail out the details, but kind of the takeaway is you got an email from yesterday. Look at it, and it'll explain a lot of this. Also, the windmill will show what it is. And the last point I'd like to make is, and Mark kind of touched on it. Mark Rogo touched on it, I believe it was last week when we made his daughters and son-in-law Paul Harris Fellow, is make family members Paul Harris Fellows. And this year with COVID, we're not meeting in person. We're not, which is really a disappointment for all of us. But one of the cost saving aspects is we're not buying lunches and we're not paying for parking. So I encourage each and every one of you to do a couple of things, consider a couple of things. One is to maybe up your 100 to 200, 500, and you know, buy more raffle tickets. The other thing I'm encouraging everyone to do is maybe you know, and I have the information that I can access to let each and every one of you know what your status is. Maybe a little bit more to make you a multiple Paul Harris Fellow, or maybe a family member, maybe a spouse still isn't a Paul Harris Fellow yet, or a child or a grandchild. Just something to consider. You know, we're in hard, difficult times now, and Rotary, as Mark explained to us a week or so ago, is really going through some tough times in terms of the money that the foundation has available for the districts and then to the club. So anyway, a couple of things to think about. Let's all buy tickets. Last year we bought close to $4,200 worth of tickets as a club, and I really would like to make that number be a lot more than 4,200 this year. So go ahead and log on and get that email and send me the tickets. Either send me your tickets along with a PDF of the tickets, as well as of the receipt that you use to buy the tickets by credit card, or mail them to me, whatever you want to do. So I think I covered everything.
Phil has a question.
Yes.
Hey, I just thinking that's an awful lot of steps. What about if we pay the $100 directly to you, or it's billed to our account, and if there's 42 people who are paying, then you at some point go on and buy $4,200 worth of tickets and just make our club the winner, or the person on each ticket, and that way you can do it all at one time and do everyone's all at one time. There are a couple of things, Phil. We used to actually have that facility where the club could put it on your account, and through your quarterly payments, you could pay for this. But the club made the decision. Oh, Terry, you might have a handle on that, but it's been at least 10, 15, maybe 20 years where we felt that was just not what we wanted to do. But as far as the methodology, I really don't think it's difficult. I gave some alternatives. Bottom line is, in the past, what I would do is I would have your 12 tickets, you would fill them out, you would bring them to Rotary or mail them to me along with your check. That's the same routine. That could still be the way people do it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I feel if you go online, I think you'd find it is really very simple the way they've set it up.
All we have is, thank you, Nancy. All we have is a new alternative, or not really an alternative that we really haven't taken advantage. Most of us haven't taken advantage of it in the past, and that is doing it through credit card and then doing everything online, and we wouldn't even have to use the mail. And we know the challenges that our postal service is going through right now, so we could even avoid using the mail. Okay. Not that I think ultimately that's going to be resolved. But anyway,
thank you, Steve. We'll be talking about this again.
Yeah, maybe we can put something in this week's windmill. So
absolutely.
Who's doing the windmill, Nancy, this week?
I'm sorry?
Who's doing the windmill this week?
Who's writing? Well, I put it together, so you don't have to worry about the person who takes the notes. So
okay, great. Thank you, Nancy.
You can do. I'll talk to you about that. Oh, Chris.
Okay, cool. Very good. Thank you.
Okay. And let's see. I know that we're a little pressed for time, so I'm going to come back to this announcement next week because it's something that actually occurs a week from Saturday. And at this moment, I'll bring Mark on to introduce our Merchant Minute speaker. Mark
I'll introduce the speaker.
Wait, no, I'm sorry, John, we're not quite there yet. This is for the Merchant Minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
So I'll let you know in just a few minutes. Mark, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Yeah, well, not well with the mask on.
Okay, well, gotta take the mask off. Hello, Rotarians. I'm on site today for our Merchant Minute. Steve here at Carvel Ice Cream on Santa Monica Boulevard, just east of Sepulveda. A favorite of our families for many years, as everybody knows. And we are on site. If I can show this around here at Steve's franchise here. north side of Santa Monica Boulevard. Now I'll turn it over to Steve and let him talk. Steve?
All right, so jump up with your cone. Let me just jump in the front here. All right, nice to meet everybody. I'm thankful that given this opportunity. I will keep talking until you tell me to stop. The reality is that we've been able to adapt to the pandemic very easily because we went from selling a lot of cakes, but bigger cakes, to just selling a small cake. Right now, we're selling this cake at a bunch of satellite locations, and people are ordering them on Postmates. But I think it's a great application. We had a customer that ordered a cake, and inside the bag, I wrote, thank you for contacting us. If there's anything, if you want to support the store, order more cakes or whatever. The lady that I spoke with ordered about $1,500 worth of cakes just based on a letter that I put in a bag. So people are sitting at home and they get a delivery. They got a lot of time on their hands. They're actually going to read whatever nonsense you put in the bag. So this lady actually worked for NBC, and she ordered the cake the next day, and the next day she ordered cakes, and 5 cakes, and I can deliver all the cakes. So when I deliver them, I deliver them with dry ice. The other thing you can do is thank your customers. You love your customers. Here's a heart cake. So if somebody wanted to order a bunch of cakes from me, I would deliver it and leave your business card or write a message, whatever you want on the cake. Something that may not happen anytime soon is open houses. And when you're doing an open house, a great application is we have a cart that serves about 700 people, and we sell ice cream sandwiches. So we invented the ice cream sandwich in 1958, the flying saucer. That's a sandwich. The customers also love something called a chips. Now, when we make these sandwiches, we make them here in the store. So the way we make them is very simple. We have a soft serve machine, and we take the cracker, we put the vanilla on, and then we put the top of the cracker, and we put it into this plastic container, and we're done. So I can make 6 sandwiches in less than 45 seconds, and I put it in the freezer, and we freeze it. So we make something that's fresh. Carvel's tagline currently is America's freshest ice cream. Nobody can call themselves the American freshest ice cream because we trademarked it probably 40 years ago. And the other item that we sell with the chipster we sell the vanilla flying saucer, and then the other item we sell is an Oreo cookie. Oreo is the #1 cookie and the #1 ice cream topping. So having the Oreo shells, and then we just take our vanilla ice cream and put it in there. So you have fresh ice cream with a cookie, and then you have the sandwiches. So so the 2 applications I could see in your marketplace would be if you had an open house down the line, you can have our ice cream cart there, and if you just have the cart sitting right on the front lawn, not only all the neighbors will come by, everyone will come by, get ice cream, but it's just a goodwill gesture, and then you'll get a lot of traffic and a lot of goodwill at your open house, and it can all be done outside. So whenever that's potentially ready. And then the other application is thank you letters. The best opportunity to get business is from existing customers. So go back to your existing clients that you sold houses to and drop them cakes. Thank you for your business years ago. If you know anybody interested, here's, give them my call. You don't have to ask for the business. All you have to do is provide your card and your literature and the product. They understand that you're dropping stuff and buy to get additional business. And I've been very successful. My real target is property managers, and we typically, serve the whole building. So we don't focus on one customer, we serve the whole building. So our business is from February to today, our business has gone up 4 times. So we are doing very well, quietly doing well, because we're selling from a lot of remote locations, and it's all delivery guys coming in and picking up cakes.
Steve, thank you so much. That's fascinating, and you're obviously highly entrepreneurial, so it's no surprise that you've been very successful. And now, so thank you for joining us. And now, John, I invite you to introduce our guest speaker.
Okay, I'm ready now. Can everybody hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm delighted to be introducing Michael Stevenson today. He's a good friend of mine for a number of years. who myself and others do a Zoom meditation call every day since the beginning of the pandemic. So I talk to Mike almost every day. But besides being an entrepreneur, having started a number of companies, many of them in the insurance business, he is an athlete who has completed in 16 Ironman triathlons in 12 different countries. I like to say and brag that I have 2 kids who have competed in triathlons, but nothing close to Ironman, which is a special kind of triathlon. But anyway, getting down to the matter at hand, Mike has a passion to help end the homeless crisis, which he will talk about today. He is co-founder of the West Los Angeles homeless.org. So his focus of late has been on the homeless on the west side of LA. He's a former Rotarian, perhaps even a future Rotarian. He was in LA 5 for a number of years. So now I'm pleased to announce Mike Stevenson.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, John. Appreciate the kind words. You're as much of a service-oriented person as I've ever known, and truly mark of a good Rotarian. I wonder if I can get a screen share.
I have to make you the host, which I'm happy to do. And I say that because then at the end, when you're finished speaking, if you would make me the host back, that would be very helpful. Okay, so I am making you the host so that you can share what you have. So I will stop. Can you see, do you see a button for screen sharing? Oh, there you are.
There we go. I see it. I see it here anyway.
Okay. WestLAHomeless.org was incorporated in March of this year. It began with, kind of a personal engagement that I have, and I'm sure you have had as well, with dealing with the homeless people that exist in our neighborhoods, whether it's a dollar on the corner, or a handout of food, or a food coupon. I'm sure you've all done something to that effect. That started for me back in Chicago. I lived in Chicago until 1991 and would see a few homeless people downtown where my office was, and I'd try to help them out. Now, when I say a few, I'm literally talking probably less than a dozen. If you went along the Magnificent Mile, you might see a dozen back then. I'm sure there's a lot more today. But in 91, when I moved here from Chicago, and took a few trips to downtown Los Angeles, I noticed that there was a huge amount of homeless people. Even then, 30 years ago, nothing compared to what it's like today. But I said, we have to do something about this. I had a little company, and I asked one of my people to investigate the opportunities to help take care of the homeless. And we discovered an organization called Life, Love is Feeding Everyone, which had been founded by Dennis Weaver and Valerie Harper, and had been a very effective tool. So we got involved as a company, and myself personally on the board, working with Life. And then Dennis decided to retire and move to Colorado, and I ended up becoming chairman for several years. And we fed people from resources of unusable food, from grocery stores, from manufacturers, restaurants, brought it to a central warehouse and distributed it to over 200 different feeding agencies. And we did that with about $7 million worth of food per year. So it was a pretty successful program. It was made successful in large part because I was able to recruit, and I use that word gently, a lot of my vendors to help with the support of the organization. So after I sold my company in '97, we merged it with the LA Food Bank because they were doing very much similar things, and it enhanced their program as well. So that inspired my desire to help the homeless or the hungry. And it never really ceased after that. I continued to see the numbers growing in Los Angeles. And just to give you an idea, you may have read in the news that the count as of May of 2020 was 66,000. Now that's for LA County. That's up from 58,000 in November. So an increase of 8,000 people, or over 12%, just in that short period of time. The demographics are 67% are male, 33% female, and 1% transgender. The ethnic origin is 1% American Indian, 1% Asian, 1% Black, African American, 36% Hispanic and Latino. Black African Americans 34%, white 25%, and multiracial 2%. The age ranges are pretty broad. Under 18, 12%, 18 to 24, 7%, 22 to 54, 58%, 55 to 61, 14%, and over 62 or seniors, there's 10%, 6,600 seniors. That would be a tough thing to be on the street as a senior.
Oh, gosh.
Now, the cause of these homeless issues is as wide as we are people. And just the general categories, which are broken down in much more detail, but substance abuse accounts for 27%, mental illness of a serious nature, 25%, physical disability, 19%, developmental disability, 9%, chronic homeless, 11%, domestic violence, 7%, HIV, 2%, and overall within this group of 100%, 33% have been victims of domestic violence as well. Now, we all probably remember voting in 2016 on HHH bill for the city of Los Angeles to provide $1.2 billion in housing for the homeless. Today, $995 million of that has been committed on 111 projects, representing 7,640 units that'll house approximately 8,900 people. This is a private-public partnership. It's a good concept, which means that the private developers do the development and Triple H provides part of the funding. Now, to give you an idea of what they provide, the average unit that is built is $534,000. Hardly what you would think for a homeless person would be the cost, but these are private developments with the partial funding coming from Triple H. Triple H's contribution of that $534,000 is $134,000. So the taxpayers are getting a fairly good bargain on that portion of it, since they're only putting up 25%. Of the HHH products, 81 are in pre-development. There's one on the west side, only one, because there's just not a lot of room available. And that's still pre-development. I've heard the presentation at the West Side Neighborhood Council meeting back a few months ago. It's going to be at Santa Monica and Greenfield, if it ever finally gets approved and developed. And it represents 51 units with online support. And it's for seniors only. So it's only for seniors. In development currently under construction are 28 projects and 2 are online. Now that seems like a very little end result yet, but understand in Los Angeles the difficulty in getting a project from start to finish. It's not an easy process and it's slow. The success stories that have existed, and they do exist, is there are 22, in 2019, there were 22,769 permanent housing units occupied by homeless, new in 2019, and 18,395 that were sheltered. Here's the critical mass of the problem. 227 people become homeless every day in LA County. 227. 207 have exited homelessness in LA County every day. So that leaves 20 new every day unsheltered. That's a lot of people. And with this current economy, it's going to get even more serious. Now, how does that represent us locally on the west side? CD5 or Corette's district has 1,205 of those homeless people. That's up 10% from 6 months ago. 954 are unsheltered, meaning they're living in a tent of some sort or just on the street. 254 have some form of shelter. So recognizing these facts and seeing it obviously is what motivated us to do something about it. I was actually inspired personally by Sean McMillan, Hyler Realty is the owner, at the West Side Neighborhood Council. A group of West Los Angeles citizens gathered and we evaluated what needed to be done and discussed the options. And many of the issues of the West Side homeless were battered women, mothers of children, foster children that became 18, mentally disabled, injured, substance abuse, and chronic homeless. We observed that there was an organization that existed in the Pacific Palisades. It's called the Pacific Palisades Task Force for Homelessness. We met with them and found out that they had quite a success story, and they've been in business for about 3 years. They recognized that there was a significant resource available, but lacking contact with the homeless clients to determine where the needs were. So Palisades began with 200 homeless clients, ended up with problems such as trash, encampments, wildfires. Now their current homeless count is 74. In 3 years, there were many more than the 126 clients placed during that time period by the Palisades group. They've been organized and been very successful. So our origination was we formed westlahomeless.org in March at the goal of raising and eliminating homelessness in the west side of LA. We filed for a nonprofit with the federal government, which of course they're closed down, so we haven't got the final back, but we will soon. Organized by Sean McMillan, myself, and 10 other West Side local business leaders. The objective is to address the homeless issue for West Los Angeles. In an effort to test the system, we had the able assistance of John O'Keefe and a local homeless man who went by the name of Frank Sinatra. Some of you may have heard of him. He's been around these neighborhoods for a long time, and he had been without housing for many years. He was originally from New Jersey. In his first few years, he spent here taxi driving and waiting tables, and for a brief period of time, he dealt with substance abuse. He's been clean for over 20 years and homeless on the west side. And John brought it to our attention through our men's group at St. Paul the Apostle. And we began working with Councilman Corette's office. And we were able to place him in a home on his 65th birthday. He is one happy man now. Now, this would not have happened without the efforts of people that were specially concerned about him as a person. And I mention that because outreach is what it takes to address the homeless issue. If you talk to a homeless person, ask them how many times they've heard from the city or the county over the last year or the last 5 years. It'll be surprised. It won't be. I wouldn't be surprised if it was zero. Some of them have seen a few. The problem is there's 30 people in LA County that are assigned to outreach. 30 people to cover 66,000. How are they going to understand the problem, build a relationship, and find a solution? It's just not practical. So our mission statement is to increase civic engagement in the challenge of homelessness in the West LA area and engage volunteers to assist caseworkers. We want to retain caseworkers to engage the unhoused and unsheltered. And I say caseworkers, we want to find professionals that are used to dealing with the homeless and have tremendous backgrounds in that, as well as dealing with the tremendous resources that are available. The city, the county, the state, and the private agencies have housing, they have hospitals, they have mental health issues, They have a wide range of resources available, but getting them connected, getting the right person to the right place is the challenge. There's not enough housing, so that's still going to remain a problem. But at least we know that if we can get them engaged with LAHSA, Los Angeles Homeless Service Authority, which is a city-county organization, we can get them on the coordinated entry system list, which puts them in a rotation for getting considered for housing. The territory for West LA Homeless is specific. It encompasses the West Side Neighborhood Council and Westwood Homeowners Association. 405 on the west, Wilshire on the north, National on the south, Club Drive, Century Park East, and Club Drive on the east. Now, the city, county, and state have a wide variety of resources available. They're literally in the hundreds of organizations, both large and small. Often churches have resources that are available. Caseworkers with the time to work in the neighborhoods and build the trust with the homeless will help coordinate and find resource help for the homeless. Sometimes that could be helping them get a bus ticket to go back home, because they get out here, they get stranded. They think they've got a great bright future out here, and they find out that it's a pretty busy place and pretty difficult and challenging place at times. And the reason that we believe this is the core value, that's what the Palisades did. The Palisades contracted with the People's Concern to get 2 experienced caseworkers to come in and work with those 200 people and change the problem. Because there's just a lack of total outreach on the part of the city, county, and state. So our plan is to get these 2 to 3 people working, raising the money to get them working, getting them online, dedicated social workers, get a census on the area and work with the homeless clients. We'll identify the clients and determine the best way to get them entered into a housing program or a solution for their issue. Often it's mental health, often it's substance abuse. There's organizations for that as well. WestLAHomeless.org needs volunteers to assist our professional team, write press releases, communicate with the community, assist in client census, assist with events, and serve on our committee. West LA Homeless needs money to make this happen. The cost for 2 social workers and some additional budget is about $300,000. If any of you wanted to contribute and add to the contributions of those that have already done so, we would welcome that. We just recently received approval from the West Side Neighborhood Council, and I understand, I hear the Westwood Neighborhood Council's on here. But West Side Neighborhood Council approved $10,000, Westwood Homeowners Association $12,500, and WISM Homeowners Association $15,000. And we're in the process of meeting with the other homeowners associations, organizations, and service organizations, and businesses, and all sorts of community organizations, churches, and so forth that will be willing to help and support this effort to end homelessness on the West Side. And that's our goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Yes.
You mentioned, or I think I thought I heard you say that you've applied for a nonprofit status, a 501c3. Have you received that yet, or what's the status of that?
John, we've not received it back yet. The government is in kind of slow operating mode right now.
Yes.
We expect it back any time. In the meantime, what we have done is we have an agreement with the People's Concern, which is going to be our contractor to provide the homeless caseworkers to receive the money. And they're a 501c3 already, have been in business since the 60s. And they will take money on our account toward our contract. So that's how we're able to take contributions today.
So you can take a contribution and it's deductible from the donor because they contribute to the People's Concern.
That is correct, for our benefit.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Okay.
Mike, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
How close are you working with the VA? They're doing a lot of things to help the homeless vets in the area. Number one, do you have any idea how many there are veterans? Number two is, do you have any connections or do you work with the VA to eliminate some of these problems?
That's a really good question. Fortunately, one of our board members, Dr. Chuck McCreary, is just recently retired from the VA. He's a psychiatrist, and he had worked with a lot of the veterans at the VA for many years. So he's our liaison to work with the VA. The VA has an active program. They have a lot of housing, and they're getting people into it as quickly as possible. If you've driven down San Vicente, north of Wilshire recently, on the way to Brentwood, you'll notice a lot of tents with American flags on them. Those are veterans that are waiting to get in to the VA housing. Also, just behind them are tents that are veterans that are more closely in line to getting into that housing. The holdback for them is the timing on it for the housing to get completed, because they're converting more of their buildings into homeless housing. And the people on the outside of the fence are there because you can't have a drink if you're on the inside. That's one of the rules of the VA. You can't have any alcohol.
But the VA just put in 2 new buildings, which allows the individuals to have their own room, kitchen. They can smoke and have drinks. You know, they don't do it for that reason, or they don't try, but they're allowed to. So there's some new things that are going on at the VA. Matter of fact, we're having Bruce Rosen, who's with the Boundini Foundation, in a couple of weeks, and we took a tour of the VA campus this past week. And in fact, the VA has a master plan, which Nancy was in on this morning, Diane Good and myself, that they're doing a lot of work. I'd suggest you get with those guys. They're doing a lot of things to house the homeless.
Yes, they are. And we're working with them in every way that we possibly can. And would appreciate any additional support that you could provide us. We have openings on our board.
That's a good offer.
Question.
Mike, yesterday's LA Times had an article about some of the recreation centers are being phased out as shelters. I know you described the story of Frank Sinatra. You didn't have to use my name, but thank you. But anyway, Frank is in an RV at Cheviot Hills. Do you know about that, or how many of these rec centers are getting close to being shut down?
They'll all be shut down soon. And currently, the Cheviot Hills Rec Center, or Rancho Park Rec Center, and the Westwood Neighborhood Council, Westwood Rec Center, are both being closed down because they're going to be returning to parks soon.
Oh, not the Westwood not the Westwood Rec Center. The Westwood Rec Center is going to remain open as an emergency shelter. In fact, they're moving homeless from other areas in the city to Westwood as we speak.
Ooh.
Okay, that's new information. Thank you.
That's good.
Because they were down to just a handful of people there.
No, they're getting much, much more.
That's great.
And
I'm glad to hear that.
The Cheviot Hills Rec Center is I was down to 1 person, I think, or 2 people. So they must be moving them all over to Westwood.
Yeah. So Frank may have to look for another place. What?
The trailers that are at both locations are almost fully occupied. And the expectation is they're going to move those trailers to another location, which is they're trying to figure that out right now.
I get you.
Marcia, you had a question.
Oh, yeah. I was just wondering, I've heard that people to get help from the city or the county or the state or whatever, when they go in to ask for help, they have to present a physical copy of their Social Security card. I was wondering if that's true, if anybody knows. And I know that some people who they were talking about some people that were in the military and got wounded and were in and out of hospital, hospitals for years, and then they're suddenly out of the military and they don't have a social security card, and people getting out of prison that are trying to do some things don't have a social security card. And I was wondering, first of all, is that true if they have to have a social security card to get help from the state or the county or the city or anything, any of these programs? And if it is there something we can do with the military and the prison system to make sure that these people have a physical copy of a social security card when they're, let out or let go or whatever?
I don't know.
I can answer that. We've had a few homeless connect days at Westwood Park. The service organizations like St. Joseph's, People Connection, all of these different areas are able to get people social security cards. They're able to hook them up with past records in the military, et cetera. So they work very hard to do that. And it absolutely can be done. Driver's license can be attained. DMV comes to all these events, and so do the Social Security Department.
Okay, what was that? The Joseph? What was that?
St. Joseph Center in Santa Monica.
St. Joseph Center in Santa Monica. Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Amazing. Yeah, that's important to get Social Security cards. One of the things we did with Frank Sinatra, that's his real name, by the way. We have a little committee of about 4 or 5 of us that were able to get Frank a Social Security card and an ID. He doesn't drive, but he has an ID card now also. So that's helped him get a lot of other things through that, you see. But that was just a one-on-one effort, you know what I mean?
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, so how, I see on your list that you're going to all these different places and asking for money for funding, et cetera, but what made you pick the parameters that you picked, first of all? And secondly, do you propose going to all the synagogues and churches in the areas to get them to help? I mean, for instance, Westwood Presbyterian is very active in the homeless situation. They actually, PATH was founded on their site with their church. So there's lots of active churches and synagogues in the area. So how do you go about trying to get all of these people together under one umbrella? And then secondly, just so everyone's aware, the homeless count numbers are collected from January to January. So any increases that you see are official numbers from LAHSA, and they go from January to January of each year.
Where did I go?
Well, they do 2 counts a year. One is in November and one's in May. I participated.
Well, they do a shelter count, and then they do a regular homeless count in January.
I participated in those homeless counts, driving around in small sections of the city and counting every tent, every vehicle, every trailer, every place where somebody would be living.
I think you're right. A lot of churches do help, and I think we can, that's an area we can help ourselves maybe by getting our respective churches. I know St. Paul the Apostle is helping homeless people, and I know there's a Jewish church temple on near Robertson and Pico that helps people also down there. But I think if we want to talk to our own churches, we can maybe get more of them involved in helping also.
What we're looking for in the expansion of our board are people that have relationships with organizations so that it's a warm contact rather than going in cold.
Yeah, that's exactly the best way to do it. We ought to consider joining his board, by the way.
Wonderful.
And we meet virtually every 2 weeks on a Monday night at 7 o'clock. And we're checking off the organizations one by one. With the COVID situation, having to meet virtually, it's been a little bit more challenging than normally would be.
That's great work, Mike.
It is great work. It's fascinating. And I personally am really appreciating hearing a story about a person and a group who are taking action. And Lisa, your comments were really helpful too. I think it's easy to just take in the news media slant and get discouraged and decide that something is hopeless. And you're not willing to settle for that, and that's wonderful. Thank you. Could, Michael, at this point, could you make me the host again? Do you know how to do that? Okay, thank you.
Tell me how.
If you hover your cursor over my name, you will have two options. One is if you right click on my name, it will give you the option to make me the host. The others, if you click on that blue more box, it will also give you that option. But failing that, I would just ask that you not jump off before we do, because that will end the meeting for everybody.
I'm happy to accommodate, but I'm not funding that button right now.
Okay. I want to thank you for your time, for joining us, and for
Let's have a hand. Let's have a hand for Mike Stevenson.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And appreciation for the time and thoughts you've shared with us. We will be making a donation to the Westwood branch of the Los Angeles Public Library in your name. And I'm sure we're all going to be interested to hear how things progress for your organization. It is, as John said, very important work that you're doing. So thank you again.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Any other closing comments that anybody has? Adele?
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Michael, this is Adele. I wonder, on a different note, are you still training for Ironman or some triathlons at this time?
Good question.
I'm past that prime. I did my last one in 2003 in Ironman Korea.
In Korea, fantastic. Wonderful.
My goodness, that's truly impressive.
My furthest one away was in South Africa.
That's amazing.
You know what?
That's another whole presentation, is your experience as an ultra athlete.
You know what an Ironman? An Ironman is you run a marathon, you do 100-mile bike ride, and then how far do you have to swim, Mike?
Swim first, 2.4.
2.4 miles swimming, yeah.
And it's 112 miles on the bike, and then a marathon.
112, okay, sorry.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for being here. We'll meet again next Thursday, August 27th. Please stay safe and well in the meantime, and have a great week. So Mike, since you're still the host, you're going to need to end the meeting for us.
Okay, thank you.
See that button?
Thank
you see a red end the meeting button?
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, this is a fine time to click it then. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's terrific. Thank you.
Yes, excellent. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, you guys.
Okay.
Bye, John.